Okay, now we are making the vanilla recipe. So we need prestige sugar, we need 12 eggs, we need baking soda, sift flour, zest of one lemon, and milk. In most of my recipes, actually, I use buttermilk. I just forgot to make it, but the way you make buttermilk is 1 cup of milk plus 1 tablespoon of lemon juice or vinegar. Then we are going to start mixing. I'm going to send you all the measurements so that it is easy for you to do what? To start. Now, the key is when you're mixing a cake, make sure all your ingredients are at room temperature. Room temperature, I mean your prestige is not from the fridge. Then I start by first beating the prestige for some little time until it becomes white and a bit fluffy, not very fluffy, before I start adding the eggs. Now, the key to a very nice cake, if you want to use a whisk, that is how you use. Actually, this video was just a bit in a hurry, that is why I didn't use a whisk. But still, for you who is going to use a whisk, that is how you whisk. I would prefer you buy a small whisk like that because it's easy for you to use that than a very big whisk. But you can use anything you prefer. Anyway, I'm not going to be strict on that. Even a mingling stick can work. Yes. So after me mixing my prestige, you can see now that is where I was showing you. I didn't make buttermilk. Me, I have vinegar. But for you, if you don't have vinegar, put lemon juice. Now we need 2 cups and a half of milk. That is like a packet of milk. Then you're going to now start mixing. Now we are adding our sugar. Now we add our sugar in bits and we continue mixing. Now, if you can see my bowl is small, but I prefer mixing in a metallic bowl compared to a plastic one, just my preference. Then we are going to mix that. Now, the key here is what we are looking for is we have to mix the sugar and the prestige to be like as if it is dissolving. You can even see the color changing. It has to change to like white, like changing it to white. You get it? So we are going to continue mixing. Now, I just fastened the mixing because remember, if I was to leave it, this video will be like almost a hundred because I did this for almost 2 hours. So I continued mixing. So you can see how the consistency is. Even the prestige is now like white. Then our recipe, we need 12 eggs. This is a full recipe. You can still make it half. Then we are going to start by putting each egg one by one. So we put one egg and we mix. So that is one egg and we are going to mix. Then we are going to do the same procedure. You can see how long I'm mixing. We are going to use the same procedure to mix. Put the eggs and mix until all the 12 eggs are done. And you're going to see the difference, like only the prestige and the sugar and the eggs, the things have already raised very well. Then you're going to mix it. Those are like 2 eggs we have put in. So I'm not going to show you the whole procedure of me adding all the eggs, but you've just got the idea of what I mean. Don't rush it. Take your time. Put each egg, whisk it, or hand mix it until it incorporates. Then after that, after our mixing is done, that is how our butter looks. Now, another thing is when you're mixing your things, your eggs and the prestige, sometimes it may curdle. That curdling comes as a result of much water in the eggs because sometimes we don't control where we get our eggs. So if it curdles, you're just going to reduce the amount of milk in the recipe. If our recipe is calling for 2 cups and a half, you may end up putting only 2 cups. Now, you may forgive me, my camera there wasn't very clear. I don't know what happened. Now, in my vanilla recipe, I put 2 flavors. I put butterscotch and vanilla. I use Pradip. So in that same recipe, I've put a half tablespoon of vanilla and a half tablespoon of what? Of butterscotch. I'm going to write them down for you with a recipe so that you can buy them in case you don't have. Then we are going to mix. Now remember our buttermilk, the one we made. When we put lemon into the milk, it turns the cake, it turns the milk like as if edi bongo. But ideally it's not bongo. And even if you have yogurt, it will just be perfect for the recipe. Then we are going to mix. So you see how I'm mixing. I'm folding in. I'm not so mixing so vigorously. So we are going to incorporate the flour and the milk. Flour, milk until it's done. Yes. So you're going to see the final result. So what I want you to note is sometimes we may use eggs that have a lot of water. And this means we shall reduce the amount of milk we are putting. So that is why when I'm putting my milk, I make the milk be the last. Because sometimes it may be watery and yet there was a lot of water in the egg, so it makes me just balance. Me in my recipe, I add some little yellow color, but that is like optional. You may not add it if you don't want, but I just like when my vanilla cake is yellow. Then I'm now mixing, so you can see my butter is already ready. Now this recipe is a full recipe and it's a big batch. It gives me 2.4 kgs, which is a big batch. Now I use 6-inch 4 pans, but for you, if you have 8-inch pans, you will need like 3. If I'm using a 5-inch pan, I may need like 6. So I would advise you, when you're doing this recipe, you can start with the half. Don't do it the whole, because me, I just had some cake orders and that is why I was what? So we are greasing our pan. So we use Prestige, we grease it the way you've just seen me doing. Then we are going to put some flour, we are going to coat it with the flour. The reason why we are doing this is for the cake not to stick on the pan. Yes, for the cake not to stick on the pan. Sometimes I even go extra and put parchment paper. I think I edited out the video of putting parchment paper. I put parchment paper down so that I can just be 100% sure that my cake won't stick on the pan. Then when I'm putting my butter in the pans, I measure them, because remember, you have to know. If someone is asking for a 1 kg, you know this is what I'm giving this person. If someone is asking for a 2 kg, this is what I'm giving. So I'm measuring my pans in 6-inch pans. Now, if you're using an oven, which I know you're using, I preheat my oven at 180 degrees. Preheat your oven at least 30 minutes to the time for baking. Then when I'm baking, I bake my cakes at a temperature of 150. So I don't know whether you bought the oven thermometer, but that is always key. Now after you putting your, I'm just trying to scrape everything out, and I want to make sure that everything is in the pan. Yes. Then put your cakes in the oven. It is going to bake for almost 1 hour, 40 to 1 hour, depending. Then let's see how your vanilla recipe comes out. So I'm going to make you another video of making buttercream and how we are going to decorate the same cake with buttercream. Yeah, I think I'll do that for you tomorrow. Yes. So that is how our cakes came out. You see? They are okay, they are not burned, they are not so doomy. So